Recount.
I don't think I was meant to be an animal, but I was like video games can kind of create any world they want, and so I was playing this guy that was like meant to kind of have these like superpowers, and so they had these like chairs placed in the room, and I was meant to like jump on them and like over them and around them and kind of like crawl around them the direction was like I was meant to be like certain animals at different points, like with my body language. So like all the physicality was meant to be like super weird. And then they were like, they made me, and I was actually in the room with a couple guys that were there too, because they made us create our own language. They were like, we want you to just like spend 2 minutes just like having a conversation opposite camera, like in your own language, like wow. in like an intensity that like means like something like the war is coming.
Did you just go everybody? Yeah,
I just started rapping.
You never told me you were an avatar.
Yeah, dude, that was me.
I wish so badly that there was a place you could go anonymously like talk to casting directors who are just like, oh yeah, we just fuck with actors all the time.
Oh my God, dude. I feel that. I should feel that way more often than not, dude. There was a show out in Portland called Grimm that I used to audition for all the time, and it's like a shape-shifting show where like the people turn into like different animals. And I swear to God, man, I went out for like the badger and the snake and the possum and the rhinoceros, and they all turn into these like different animals. And so I had to
Not one of those is in the show.
In Grimm?
Yeah.
Well, they had me go. They had me do all of these different. Really? None of those animals are in Grimm?
It's like kind of a werewolf, and then there's like lamb people.
Wait, did you watch it?
Yeah.
They change into all sorts of different things.
Nah, I watched it.
No, they change into all sorts of different stuff.
Acquaintance of mine, Dave's the lead in that show.
Oh, wow. Well, you probably know more about it than me. I just remember auditioning for all these different things, and maybe they didn't make it into the show. And they just had me audition for this. Maybe they're fucking with me. But I went in for that show like 10 times maybe. And it was always a different animal that I shape-shifted into. And like, it's one thing to do it when you're like on set and you're like, you have the VFX happening around you and you can actually like get into it. But when you're auditioning for it, and it's just like, okay, like, I'm going as far as like looking up what a badger, like what kind of physicality does a badger have? And then I'm like watching videos of them on YouTube and then like kind of like playing with my face and like my body and whatever I'm doing. And then I'm like finding myself in these auditions just like really diving into like deep character work to try and like, and then it's like you have to shapeshift into it. And all the while you're just sitting in an empty room by yourself, like taping yourself. Yeah. Just like switching like and it's like supposed to be this painful experience. No, I never got the part, dude. Never was on Grimm.
Funny, man, because like how do they?
Yeah, I know.
Do you
right?
think the casting director does that research? Like, does the casting director know what a badger is like, or they kind of know what they're looking for when they're moving forward, or when they see it, they know it?
I think that there's like an accuracy to whatever show is trying to. Whatever show is doing with their narrative. If they're incorporating animals into it, they're gonna like look for that type of stuff. And I'm sure that the casting director knows what they're looking for. It's to some extent. Like, you're not gonna go in as a badger and be like,
well, of course, but
like, so like, what is that? Like, what are those little tiny details? And so yeah, I don't know. And also in an audition, it's like there's a level of like intent, like you're not, it's such a strange thing because like you can only do so much. So like, how far should you go? Like, how dressed up should you become? How into this should you actually be for this audition? An audition is really meant to just like inform that you understand what is happening and that you can do the thing, rather than like fully immersing yourself into the thing, like becoming it completely. And I think I have become it completely many times and have been like,
full badger.
Okay, dude.
That's never going full badger.
Dude,
you never go full badger.
I'm gonna move to New York, Jules, and I'm gonna become an animal essence expert for casting directors, and that's gonna be my gig. Like, I see the rhino in him.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I was listening to this interview with this was he Japanese or Korean? Jimmy Huang. Terrible with names, man. It sucks. But he has been doing the acting thing and the stand-up comedy thing for 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been landing some like pretty big roles. And he just recently landed a role with like a reoccurring part. Do you remember that Steve Carell space TV show that just recently came out?
Wasn't like Space Odyssey or something like that?
Moonbase 9 or something.
Yeah, so he got a recurring role on Moonbase 9
or 8, whatever it is. Yeah.
and he told this story about how he went home, like after he started getting like legitimate roles, and his dad was like, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
And his dad has now, so at some point, somebody brought up that like, oh, maybe could your dad do this role? Like they needed to fill a spot within like an 8-hour period or something. And somebody who had met Jimmy's dad, I'm totally butchering the story, but somebody who had met Jimmy's dad was like, oh, maybe your dad could do this, I think his dad had gone out for some roles and like gotten them like right away. Kind of like your experience with acting, like the first couple roles you auditioned for, you got.
Uh-huh.
And sure enough, like he called, like showed the director his dad and was like, well, let's call him in. And his dad is acting, like reading scenes with God, I suck at names, man. This sucks so. John Malkovich. Like John Malkovich is in Moonbase 9, and like the other role that they were looking for was like doing a scene with John Malkovich. And this guy Jimmy's off stage just like, how is this happening?
Yeah, I've been doing this for so long.
So long, 15 years. I've worked my ass off to get this role. And my dad just comes in, and he said his dad is just always just like, I told you, like,
I feel
told you what you do is not a big deal.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's like,
I feel like that was what would happen if my dad tried to start.
Oh,
acting.
absolutely, bro. Your dad's a star.
He would just
We've been talking about this. This is what we should actually be putting our time and effort into, is just following your dad around with cameras. Because he is a fucking legend and says and does the most absurd things. He sent, oh my God. Can you airdrop me that video of your dad playing the accordion?
I think all my texts go away after like 30 days. I just have that function on my phone. So
yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Why?
You didn't post it anywhere? Not in any thread?
No, I didn't post it anywhere.
Oh God, it's so good.
It is pretty good.
Julian's father plays the accordion.
Let me see if I can find it.
And I'm not even going to explain the video. If we can't show it,
Yeah.
it's just stupid.
I know.
See if you can find it. It's so good. You got to save it to your photos, bro.
I'm just gonna. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't like sitting here on the phone while I'm having a podcast, but I'm gonna text my brother right now and ask him if he can send it to me.
Yeah, Julian's father is a man named Diego Gavilanes, and he is by far the most epic character in human form ever. He's one of those human beings who is unintentionally the funniest person walking upright, always in a room. It's very, very, very exciting to be around him, especially when he's got a couple of Coronas in him.
He drinks Bud Light Limes.
So good.
That's all he drinks, dude. Bud Light Limes and tequila shots. I was over there for Christmas.
What did he have last time we were over there for Christmas? He had it was like a Bailey's and something else. It was like a shot.
Oh, B-52s.
Yeah.
B-52. 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 My dad like comes down with like a tray on his hand like, muchachos, are you ready to have some fucking shots, you sons of bitches? Like, yep.
Yes, absolutely. Anything that would please you, Sir Diego.
We are going in the hot tub, muchachos. Yes. I cannot wait to spend good time with you.
Oh, it was so good. We spent like an hour and a half in the hot tub with your dad that night.
I know.
So great.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think that was like the most concentrated time I've had with your father.
Really?
Yeah, just like me, you, and him. Just sitting in the hot tub, reminiscing about how it's crazy that we're still alive.
Yeah. I know. It really is. It really is, man. He's He's hilarious. I remember he got in the hot tub with his shirt on, and I was like, Dad, are you wearing your shirt in the hot tub? He was just like, yes, I've put on a couple of pounds. I have what they call bitch tits now. I was just like, Dad, fuck you, dude. Take your shirt off. You're an idiot. You're in the hot tub with me and Alan, dude. Quit being a fucking moron. I definitely recorded something of his over Christmas time when he came downstairs with his accordion in hand, and it was great. He would definitely have that happen to him though, man. He would like,
yeah, just show up. He would
show up to an audition, and it would be like, not even like we didn't even want a funny Ecuadorian man. But
we're gonna write him into the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny though. I'd be interested to see if, right, because some people's brilliance is unintentional.
Right.
And when they are trying, I think this I personally feel this way about most of the people I know who do stuff. When they're not trying to be good at the thing that they want to be good at, they're incredible.
I know, yeah.
And then when they bring themselves into it and they start caring about it is when it just sucks.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't suck. That's not a great description of it, but it's not as good. It's not the magic.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if your dad would be that way. Like if he's tried to act or tried to be funny, it would just be like, oh no, it's not funny. But when he's just Diego, it is the most unbelievably hilarious thing I've ever experienced.
Well, that's true of anything, right? Like if people have these like inherent qualities about who they are that make them genuinely stand out. And then as soon as they like recognize that thing and like try to present that thing thereafter, like intentionally, it just loses its luster. It's not as nearly as
not
cool.
Always. I'm sure there.
Yeah, I mean, some people are probably really good at. I mean, some like really talented actors, I'm sure, have like figured out what that thing is. This isn't that one, but this is on Christmas. He just came downstairs like out of nowhere, started playing accordion.
So great.
Yeah.
How sick is AirDrop?
It's so sick, dude.
It's so sick. You're dropping me probably like a 4K file that's at least probably 200 megabytes.
Yeah, I know. It's.
Oh, crap.
What happened? I gotta do it again?
No. Sorry.
Sorry.
I mean, it should be in the downloads, but of course it doesn't. Send it again.
Freaking
iPhoto. Dude, iPhoto can literally go eat all of the like little wrinkles on my butthole.
Why?
Because it's just, I hate it. Who uses iPhoto?
I'm using it right now.
But
as opposed to what? What are you upset about?
Like iPhoto on your computer. I hate it.
Oh.
You save all these friggin' photos that like, because the space on your computer, as somebody who uses their computer for their business, not just like, hey man, you want to see this photo of me and
my dad playing the accordion?
Pittsburgh, man, I had this sweet coney dog when I was in Pittsburgh. Like, I use my computer for things that like actually matter.
Right, I think a lot of people probably do too. Alan Stone is the only person that uses a computer.
No, but let me tell you,
purpose.
look at how many megabytes this video is. Right, this is 250 megabytes. There's 1,000 megabytes in a gigabyte. There's 1,000 gigabytes in a terabyte. You can barely get a computer with more storage than a terabyte right now. You pay 2 terabytes for a computer that has like especially a MacBook, you're paying $4,000 for the stupid thing.
Yeah.
And so the photos, like, I wish that Mac wouldn't be total jerks and just like release a computer, because I know they can do it, with like a 20 terabyte hard drive in it. So you would never have to stress about like taking a video of your Pumpichitos playing the accordion at Christmas and be like, nope, can't save this on my hard drive because okay, so this is Uncle Dean's father, Diego Gavilanes.
Christmas coming down.
This is so great.
Just to give.
My God, folks who are just listening to this, sorry, you're missing out, because this is gonna be special right here. This is Diego Gavilanes, folks. Dude, I so badly hope he's playing a little bit of Monica in my life.
I don't know. Like this isn't the best video. This was just like the video that he sent to my my sister-in-law Lacey for her birthday was like the top.
It was for
one.
Tony.
Was it for Tony? He sends it for all of us. Every time he like gets on the piano or he like grabs his accordion and sings us happy birthday, and it's just so great. So this might not be as good. But
this is Julian's father, regardless. Diego Gavilanes.
It's so natural on you. Look at that.
You like this, muñeca? It's an accordion.
Oh, your niece needs to step off and let your dad have a little solo.
No.
Oh, God. So great. Okay, that's enough.
Hold on, he finishes the song out nice, dude. 10 seconds. Yeah, it's not as good as the happy birthday ones.
Oh, the happy birthday one is beyond.
So
if you
good.
get that in the hour, we definitely have to showcase it because. Hello, mijo.
Hello, mijo. Yeah, he's a special breed of human.
A very special breed.
I came from his nuts.
Came over, immigrated to America as an 18-year-old, 16-year-old, thought he was going to the United States Capitol, Washington D.C., ended up in Washington State, didn't speak the language, learned the language, got his law degree, passed the bar, and has just been an ever-giving, kind human being to everyone he comes in contact with. I've never seen one of my fondest memories of my life. I got to, obviously you guys were all there. We played Coachella, and I don't forget what year that would have been, like 13, 14.
Yeah, 13, I think.
And we had like a daytime set on like a Sunday probably or something. At the same exact time as 2 Chainz. That's why I remember 2 Chainz. Because it was the same exact time. Nobody was at my set.
Yeah, there was, dude. I thought it was off. I mean, I was like, dude, this is off crazy.
It was epic.
I was also hammered and on Molly.
And 3/4 of the way through the set, I see. This is great. Like the tent is a gigantic. You can fit 10,000 people in this tent. It's maybe 1/4 of the way full. So like the back of the tent, you could lay down. Like it was plenty of space.
Mm-hmm.
Diego Gavilanes starts crowd surfing from the back of the tent, which means that essentially he just had 3 guys carry him for like the entire length of the tent until he got to where there was enough people to hold his weight. So Diego Gavilanes, a 60-year-old man, is crowd surfing at my set. I couldn't hold it in. I got off the stage.
You jumped over the security barrier and just dove into the crowd yourself.
It was the
dancing.
Greatest moment of my life.
It was so good, man.
Just seeing the grin on his face. Muchachos!
That was cool because you used to like split the crowd in half. It was like, I think did you do that during like your Figure It Out song? Like 1, 2, 3. You split the crowd and you do like
we used to do it during a song called Nothing to Prove.
That's right.
But you know what I do got to prove? The bruises.
Bruises to prove it. Bruises to prove it. Yeah, and I remember like we were like, all right, as soon as like he splits off and says like, all right, let's see you do this like competition of like, all right, right side, let's see if you got the dance moves. Left side, let's see if you got the dance moves. So as soon as you reached out to our side, we were like, all right, as soon as it happens, let's lift Diego up and let's throw him out into the crowd. And sure enough, that's the set right there, dude.
Yeah,
how funny would it be if you just saw him
oh my God.
through, dude?
If we just saw it.
It was so fun, man.
I'm trying to think when it would have been, but
that was such a great day, man. Yeah, and he flew up and Alan jumped out and was dancing with us. That was fun, man. And we weren't that far back, dude. We literally went that day early just to get front and center to like rage for you.
Yeah, I know. It was very kind of you. You got a very supportive group of friends, but also you started crowd surfing your father from way farther back than you needed to. Because like you have a vantage, I have a vantage point, right?
Yeah.
From
Like
where I'm standing.
So much of this stuff, man.
And when I saw him start to crowd surf, I was like, oh, you could have just. I almost got on the mic and was just like, Jules, start him closer.
Oh man, so good. God, dude, we've had some epic times at some of your shows. Did you ever go to Alan's shows, Steve, or have you always just worked for him?
The only show I ever went to was the one where I met him, and then we went on tour, and then
Where was that?
that's it. Muddy Waters in Santa Barbara.
How did you guys? Was that because you guys were playing there?
No,
How'd you guys even meet?
God, there's so many unfortunate videos of me on the internet.
Everybody go look.
Yikes, bro. There's like people with their phones just like, I don't post this.
Yeah. How did you guys meet? I always just think
We met in Santa Barbara. Steve was in a band called Tommy and the High Pilots, which had submitted to go on a tour on our tour. And they just came down to like obviously do a little smoozing.
Did you guys hit it off right away?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We were like, come on, it's Steve.
I know.
We didn't come down. We drove from St. Louis, Missouri, straight to the
Oh,
show
what?
in Santa Barbara.
Oh shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we found out we were headed home, but we were going to do like a 2-day trip home, and we found out you were playing our hometown, so we drove from our manager's house in St. Louis straight to the coffee shop to meet you, and then saw your set. It was great. Then we started chatting, blah, 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 blah. We mentioned our band name, and then you had randomly seen us because your girlfriend at the time was a fan of our band.
Oh yeah.
Because you saw us play in Seattle.
I totally forgot about that. So Rachel Sumner like just randomly popped into a Tommy and the High Pilots show, and she brought the record. She like got the record and brought it home. She's like, "Yo, listen, these guys are killer." And I put it in, and I think it was like "Devil to Pay" was the first song.
No, it was Round and Round.
Oh, Round and Round, yeah. And I was like, "Oh, these guys are fire. This is really great." Tommy and the High Pilots, no way. And then, so when the name came up on the list of bands that could potentially open the tour, I was like, oh, like their name was highlighted. One, because I had met him, and two, because I had known the music previously. And then, I mean, just like 4 of the greatest humans to walk the planet. Like, Mikey Cantillon, are you kidding me? That guy belongs in a fucking zoo. He's absurd. He's the absolute greatest. And then of course Tommy, you got a dose of Hurricane Cantillon.
Hurricane Cantillons, dude.
During the Valentine's banquet. So nasty.
Yeah. He was, I mean, those guys seem to come from another planet.
They're
almost.
the best.
Hey folks, today our episode is brought to you in part by our good friends at Ladder Coffee. Head to laddercoffee.com and you can order beans directly from the brewer, as well as some of this beautiful cold brew. Locally owned and operated out of Spokane, Washington. Check it out, Ladder Coffee.
I'm jacked!
Yeah. And you guys hit it off right away, huh? You guys were just like bros and quick, fast, and
I mean, who doesn't?
I don't know. I mean,
Steve's one of the most charming people to walk upright, and the Cantillon guys are just like, they have like funny machine guns coming out of the front of their face.
Yeah.
Where it's just like non-stop, like you can't take a breath.
No, they are always on.
They're just always going on like the tip, and they're always. I think what's so we were talking about this recently about just people who like stuff, and like the passion that they have for stuff is really entrancing almost.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Cantillon is like that with music. He's so passionate about music and like the history of music and songwriting, and he knows all these little tidbits that like I would never give a flying fuck about.
Still don't.
Still don't. But to hear him talk about it is so charming.
Yeah. It's always cool when you find people who are just geeks on stuff, man, that just like know so much information on the thing that they
I have a manager. He's named Andrew Ganger. Ganger. Bro, he is such a badass.
Oh my
What's
God,
funny is like when we first started doing the thing together, he was working for Bruce. Bruce is technically my manager, but Bruce has a few people that like work underneath him that help him. And I remember my first couple hangs with Ganger, like trying to get just like trying to understand this dude. Because he, first and foremost, he is somebody who works in the music industry that every night would go out and watch music that he didn't have to go watch. Like he would be like, oh yeah, there's this jazz musician coming in. Second of all, drank so much Red Bull that like
Does he drink alcohol?
Not anymore. He's off the sauce, and off of the Red Bull now too, thank God, because he was like Sonic the Hedgehog running. The sweetest heart of any human ever, and his knowledge of music and his passion for music is like, you just don't see it a lot in the music industry. Like a lot of people in the music industry develop a level of jadedness towards the music industry. Yeah. And I think it's the industry of music. It's not the music, really. It's just like what comes along with commercializing anything. And Andrew Ganger doesn't have a thread of that. Yeah. He is just like so pumped all the time. And now when I see Ganger, I'm like, yes, dude. Yeah. Fucking Ganger's here. Hell yeah. Bring him out.
He's the best.
Bring him out, boys.
On stage.
Bring him out, dude, because he's just like, he's about to tell you something.
Yeah, he's
he's also the only one that remembers anyone's names.
Yeah, he's got like a picture perfect memory. He's just super kind. Yeah. Yeah, he's very, very special human.
Shout out to Ganger.
Shout out to fucking Ganger. Rev it up, baby.
Yeah, let's get him on the potty, dude.
Potty pod, bro. He'll tell us about something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Isn't that the point?
He's such a sweet guy, man. Like he doesn't need to talk to like me or anybody whenever I see him, but he always like just makes that time and space and just like, and then you're in his world, having him tell you about whatever it is that he's telling you about. Yeah, bless you.
I mean, it usually has to do with some sort of music history.
Yeah, for sure.
Of some guy who recorded like the saxophone part on this song that you've never heard of, but it was sampled by De La Soul in '94, which won it a BET Choice Award. You know, like it's like Ganger, great, and that's why we're here tonight.
I asked you what kind of sandwich you wanted.
Seriously, it was like, do you want mayonnaise? Would you like any of this crudité?
Crudité.
Yeah, that, and Tommy Cantillon is like that. Mikey's not though. Michael Cantillon is not. He's just funny.
Yeah, Mike's just funny.
Mike's just like
a naturally funny guy.
He's just a naturally hilarious and charming and like joyful human to be around. So, of course, initially I remember that night we met at Muddy Waters and it was like, oh yeah, these guys are definitely going on the road with us. These guys are so fun to be around. And then of course, Steve and our tour manager at the time, Laura Jower, fall in love.
I know, it's so crazy.
And now Steve is stuck up here in Spokane with us.
Oh, God.
You guys been together for what now, Steve? 9 years?
Almost 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm about to buy you some chicken wings tonight. Make it worth it, son.
Yeah, boy. Oh, I'm going to get so many apps.
I love apps, dude.
This is my problem. That, like, the American portion size is my problem because I just want to taste one of everything. I want to taste the whole menu.
Yeah, we're gonna be full tonight, huh?
But I don't want to pay for the whole menu.
Right.
My favorite meat style of dining is tapas. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. For sure. For sure. That one didn't count. Shit. I love to go and like get the whole app menu.
Yeah.
That's like I want all the apps.
Yeah, so do I.
But then you're like, okay, well your bill's $200,000.
That's the thing that I find I am easily the most capable of spending my money on, indulging in going out.
Oh yeah,
That's it. I literally don't buy a fucking winter coat, but I will go just spend my whole paycheck on eggs Benedict and lava cake from wherever the fuck I'm going. It sucks, but it's also great because I'm having like a great experience.
It's great to be your friend.
Yeah,
but I don't ever go out with you and let you do that.
Well, yeah, you're the
Jules,
only one.
Let's.
That's just because you make more money than me.
I did at one point in my life, but all that money, bye.
That was always like my situation with like girlfriends. It'd be like, well, who has more money in the bank right now? Like that's who's paying. And then it was kind of nice that way. But you know,
would you guys have each other's password to your online banking account? Like, why did you just be like, yeah, I have nothing?
Because I'm not gonna lie. And usually, like the person that has more money, it's not like, well, you know, for a point in time in one of my relationships, it was like we were both pretty much just constantly broke. So it was just like, great. Like, do you have at least $45 in your account right now? Because this meal is going to cost us $28, and we need to like make sure we got money for tip.
Yeah, and I'm getting extra ranches.
I'm getting 17 ranches. I just love. I feel like I've said this before, and like it's still very much true. That I want to have money so that I can just go out to meals and pay for it for my friends. Like,
that's
all the time.
It's a very great level of wealth, I believe, to strive for is to go to a restaurant and not worry about the price of the menu items.
Yeah.
Like it's that, because that's not, I have 12 houses, I own a Bugatti. Type of wealth.
Yeah, it's
like
feasible.
You can achieve a feasible amount of wealth that allows you to, when you choose to go out to a restaurant, sit down at the table and not give a shit about how.
Surprise me. Bring what the chef thinks is going to be the best experience for me right now.
And it's interesting because I don't know if I'll ever achieve that, because I think you're
just $18.
No. Like I'm constantly just thinking about money. It's
weird.
I'm just like constantly worried, but I spend it. I spend money like a mofo.
You definitely spend money.
But every time I spend money, I'm like, oh no. I can't. There's a level of stress inside me, and I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's like the way I was raised or just a fear of not having a fallback plan. I don't come from money. I'm not gonna starve, but I don't come from money. And so I don't have like a fallback plan of it. And like, oh, well, you know, if shit goes to, then whatever, somebody will help me out. I think probably what it is like a pride and an ego thing that I've wrapped so much identity around not being broke. Because I've like lived like that, like an adult for so long that I've never had a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I've always been perceived as somebody who wasn't broke, and maybe there's an ego connected to it.
Well, like maybe you've been perceived that way because you present yourself a certain way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
there was definitely
on you, mostly.
It's all on me. That's the funniest thing.
But also like to your credit as well. Like you see you going and doing sold out shows all across the country. It's like,
which means that absolutely not.
Right. But like to the regular dude, it's like, okay, cool. He's crushing it.
But that's just
rich.
That's like I think that's. I wish there was a
misconception, huh?
Well, I think it's just like a misconception about I have a misconception about any sports player that I see on TV, that they're older than me.
Right.
I just have that. I don't know if it's, why.
Just because it's sad to realize that they're all younger than us.
Every player in the NBA is younger than me.
I know.
I'm 33 years old. LeBron James is like the oldest player to ever play the game. He's like 36. It's obviously not the case, but like I have that conception, and I think people do that with musicians, period. But
Yeah.
there's so many. I mean, there's stadium tours that don't make a single dime. But I, for many years, like got off on being the guy who would like pick up the check. You know, like literally like got off on it. Was like felt a boost of ego when I did that. But the catch-22, the thing is so funny about like wealth expression is that you just dig a deeper hole for yourself, right? Because you're trying to paint this picture that you have a level of wealth by spending wealth,
right?
Which alleviates the wealth from being in your bank.
Yeah.
So you're just like, it's just this rat wheel of like, well, I got to keep up with I got to present that I've like got the new shit and I've got like the meal's fine. I got it. I don't know. And then you're expected to just be the thing.
We'll all split the bill with you tonight then, buddy.
You heard it, folks.
You heard it here, folks.
Getting all the apps.
I was promised you were buying me wings, so you're sticking to it.
That you just tossed that up in the air. I didn't promise you shit. Were you talking?
I'll split it.
Play it back.
I'll split everything.
I promised you wings.
Yeah, I'll play it back.
Yeah. Well, I promise you wings because I'm gonna get some wings and you can have one.
I'm having more than that.
Yo, he's having 19 wings.
19 wings. Yeah, it is an interesting thing. I just feel like I don't really care for like you like stuff, not because you're like a material person by any means, but you like acquiring things because you use things and you like want to continue to like build your thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I don't.
So you get stuff. And I don't have all those things going on in my life. My intention is to be an actor and to write things, and so it doesn't require a lot. Like I don't have a full. It's great. This is so great that you have all this stuff, and I am here to be with you for the most part, but to like also take advantage of the fact that you have acquired all of this stuff.
If I didn't have this stuff, you wouldn't be here.
I know.
If you didn't have a power washer, Julian would definitely not be here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here because there wouldn't be the opportunity to create what we've been creating.
Exactly.
But all that being said, like seeing all this stuff, now that you have it, I'm just like, well, great. Like Alan has it. I don't need to get it for myself, even if I did want it, which I don't. You know, not because I don't want to continue to do these things or continue to learn these things, but I just have like a really stuff freaks me out kind of. Just like having stuff. I'm just like I don't like clutter. I don't like having a lot of things. Like I'm pretty simple, and where do you think that comes from? I don't know, because I don't know. I think realizing that like I grew up in like a really nice house that I then later found out was like all on credit, and we were like indebted to that house that we lived in. But in my perception of it growing up was that like I'm like the richest kid in the world. I have like the best everything, and I'm like awesome. And even though like my brothers and I remember we like put our money that we had like worked for when we were kids towards like the trampoline that we bought in our backyard, and towards a go-kart that we bought together as like brothers. It wasn't like we were just given things all the time. We were like upper middle class kids in a cul-de-sac, and I just thought like, man, we are the wealth. Like I just thought I was the wealthiest kid in the world at a really young age, like pre-10. Mm-hmm. And so when I came to realize that like that was all a facade, and it was like, yes, we did have a big house, but we were like very far underneath in that house. You don't know that when you're a kid. You don't realize like what the financial situation of your folks are. Mm-hmm. And so once I started to realize that, I was like, oh my God, like this seems horrible. Like why would you have things if you couldn't afford to have them? Actually, so many people do that. So many people live in that space where it's just like, you know, you've seen the quote a million times of like, I'm going to have things to impress people that I don't actually even like, because I want to just like cultivate this community of people that I want to like feel connected to. And I don't know. Maybe that's where it comes from. Just like, I don't want to have things because I'm afraid. I mean, I was so irresponsible for such a long time that I would just lose anything that I did have. And now I'm just like, responsible enough to keep it, and I'm just like, I just don't want it. And also, like, I'm like a rich person. Like, I don't have a ton of money, and if I did, I'm kind of curious what I would even do with that wealth.
You'd call your buddy Al, and he'd tell you exactly what cameras you needed for your studio.
Yeah. I don't know.
Listen, it's a great attribute to have. To not be to not succumb to the magnetism of consumerism.
Yeah,
I think is a noble trait, but as your buddy, I've seen you spend money.
Yeah, for sure.
And you spend it, in stupid ways sometimes.
Like what? What's an example?
Like I think just like I have in times where it's like you do it as a means to make people like you.
Yeah.
And people don't give a fuck.
Right.
Like people don't care. They're not going to remember like, oh, actually remember that one. I think what they will remember is like a level of generosity.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that isn't mutually exclusive towards like overspending.
Yeah.
Or buying every meal But it is funny. Like I've been around and I have people in my life who are like super anal about money, super like grab the check and figure out like exactly what is like.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me want to be around them. And I don't want to be that.
Right.
I don't want to be that person who like is that way.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be a little bit more of that.
Just I think what we all want to do is just spend more time with people who are in the same positions as us so that we can all be like, hey, I'll get it this time, you get it that time.
Yeah, I mean that would be the best case scenario for sure, but that's just not possible, and that's not the case. But I don't really necessarily have a point to it other than what a weird it's a weird catch-22 like expression of wealth.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, like I don't attempt to buy things or have things that make me seem which way.
Right. No.
Like
yeah,
I don't
flashy cars.
I don't buy flashy cars. I don't try to have. I really dig now as I'm getting older. I like things that work well,
are good quality,
and are good quality and work for a long time. And if I spend my money on things, it's in an attempt to build things that I like doing, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
I spend a lot of money on production equipment as a means to attempt to try and like put together good productions. But I'm not going to go spend $500 on a jacket. I'm not going to go spend, I wouldn't even spend $100 on a jacket. You know, like I'm relatively frugal. But food is one expense. Food is probably my biggest expense.
Yeah.
Because I think just my household is just very conscious about that specific lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, Taz is vegan and very connected to eating well. And I like to eat well. Not well, but I like to eat well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like I love,
yeah.
I don't know. And I think that, yeah, it's such a conundrum, the expression of wealth, because I think you can fall into that trap of wanting to seem like something that is impossible to keep up.
I've certainly fallen into the traps of expressing wealth in that regard that you're talking about, but I also just genuinely love, because I don't care about the food necessarily that I'm going out and spending money on as much as I do about the community that I'm in while
the celebration.
I'm there.
Yeah.
And so that's really why I want to initiate that and then just take care of it.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, like let's go have an experience that nobody needs to worry at all about. And honestly, like, I don't want to worry about it either. Like, it's just taken care of, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be really fun, and it's just going to be a gathering of human beings that I love and appreciate, to get together and to just like exist comfortably and laugh and enjoy each other's space with each other.
Yeah. Sometimes what's funny about that, if you pull out far enough, is that it's actually it can be selfish to do that, because what you're doing in that moment, and I do it all the time too, is like, I'm trying to get a feeling from that experience, which is I'm taking care of this and I can take care of it. And as somebody who's on the receiving side of that, it can be like, I'd feel better about this if we just split it, right? Because I'm participating in this as much as you are, which is that's kind of another interesting angle to look at. I'm not saying that happens all the time. There's plenty of people who are totally fine with getting their bills paid for, getting taken care of. But to look at it in that regard as well, versus like, hey, I'm just gonna go take care of this. I'm always on the tip of like, we cool split, everybody just split it right down the middle. Mm-hmm. You know, like, we all had a great time here. It's when it gets into the pedantic, like, well, you had a Diet Coke and I had a, like, that's where I'm just like, oh, okay, you ruined it. I'll just pay for it.
Right. And like, I'm trying with all of my might to avoid that situation, because there's literally nothing I dislike more than that situation, being in like, well, this is what it's just like, before you even say what you're going to say, let me just have it. I'll fucking go pay for it right now. And that's not necessarily my favorite approach to take, but like, just not even having to deal with that at all. And also, like, if you're going to do it and somebody's like, no, man, like, I insist that we split it, it's just like, fine.
Yeah.
Great.
I wish there was a dating app for friendships where people like were judged based upon their splitting of the check. Yeah,
just rated.
Yeah, like, I kind of went out with Bob the other weekend, and like, he definitely was worried about like how much of the edamame I had at the app. It's like,
do they have that on dating apps? Do they have like reviews of these people?
I don't know. I've never been on a dating app.
That would be fucking weird. I've never been on one either. You haven't? I can't imagine. Steve, have you?
Nope.
Steve's never been on a date, dude. He's like woman.
He's just woman.
Be my woman.
Be my woman.
He has his musk just like attracts women like a light to a moth.
Wow, dates, man.
Or a moth to a light.
That would be interesting. Moth to a light.
Like moth to a light.
Flame.
Moth to a flame. There we go. We finally found it, folks. Thanks for sticking around.
That's why I don't need to go on dates.
Yeah, that would be so bizarre.
I don't know why there isn't a like friendship dating app though.
I think there are.
Is there?
I think there are. Yeah.
Like, I'm just looking for a buddy. I'm just looking for homies.
I feel like that's just Facebook.
No, I think there's like proper.
Bro, ain't nobody making friendships on Facebook, bro.
Yeah, like
people are ending friendships on Facebook.
No, there's like platonic. There's like platonic friendship community apps. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think somebody was talking to me about that.
That's so weird, because when dating apps first started, like when I first learned of them, it was really creepy. It was a really like weird thing.
Yeah.
But now as they go on, I'm like, oh, it's actually a brilliant thing, because to think that you're going to just naturally find somebody that you're compatible with by the grace of God. Steve, you and I have luckily done it because we travel a ton, and we're like able to like accumulate enough interactions with women to know like, okay, this is the type of woman that I think I'd be great being around for the rest of my life. But like, I don't think that's the same for every single man, right? Like, if a man goes into a bar, like, how many women is he actually talking to? And I would imagine most men's initial take is physicality. It's like, oh, is this girl hot or not? And then, I get to know them. Okay, great. Whereas if you're removing that and you're just able to like go through that many quote unquote connections, it seems like you would have a higher success rate of like actually being in a relationship with somebody that you were meant like good for. Maybe not meant for is not the right word at all, but there has to be some sort of compatibility element in relationships, right? Like a lot of relationship is work without question, and you're always going to get to a point where you're working for the relationship.
Yeah.
But a level of compatibility, right, is awesome. Mm-hmm. Sure, you need that. If you look at like how marriages were and monogamous relationships were first designed, it was like, okay, you give me goat, I give you girl, right? And now we're to the point where with technology, we're like able to go through, I mean, there's 500,000 people in the Spokane area. Like how many women is that? That's a whole lot of women. You would never meet that many women in your lifetime. So actually getting on a dating app, like it seems like it would maybe increase your chances of finding.
I think it certainly would increase your chances. I think,
but when you first heard of it, wasn't it really weird?
I think it's still really weird, but that's just my own opinion of it because like I don't prefer to meet people that way. Although like, you know, there's still like even having a social media account.
Right. But you don't prefer to like get your heart broken either. And you've had that happen like several times.
Yeah. Too many times.
So to continue to date like that is, I mean, and this is just me being devil's advocate. I'm not actually thinking this, but continuing to date the way you have dated, which is just like, I think I'm just going to meet somebody. Just hop upon you meet some girl at a bar, you meet however you've met the previous women in your life who you've gotten in a relationship with and have broken your heart. Mm-hmm. That, if you pull far enough away, is like, well, you shouldn't do that again. Like, okay, if you stick your hand in the fire, if you stick your hand on the oven and it's hot for 3 times in a row, like maybe you should wear a fucking glove next time.
Right. But that's why I'm single and I'm not like actively like on apps, like looking or going on dates out here, doing that type of thing. Like I might be like having conversations and connecting with human beings. But it's like, I don't know. I just don't like initiating it from a place of like,
I guess what I'm getting at is I think that the reason why I thought it was so awkward and weird the first time I heard about, dating apps was because there's like this romanticized perspective about monogamous relationships. It was like, oh, you know, fucking Woody Allen movie or something. Like there's just some sort of like rom-com thing that must happen. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it,
let's not talk about Woody Allen.
Yeah, I dropped that and I was like, that's not the time, not the time to drop his. But Matthew McConaughey rom-com, right? And in reality, like, yes, there is that involved with romance, but everything could be broken down to have some amount of science in it. And to think about how many women you're going to meet over your lifetime, actually, like, just if you do it the way you've been doing it, which is just like kind of bump into them or like be introduced to them, are your chances not much higher to meet somebody that you're way more compatible with by like doing one of these apps? Like it kind of now makes sense to me, even though I'm like, I would never, if I was single, I wouldn't do it. But
yes, it does increase your chances, but it also, for me, encourages me to live my life in a more explorative way and go out and do more traveling and experience life in a bigger way than I have before, and not just and I have, you know, it's not like I've just been like I stayed in Mill Creek when I was born and raised there and like waited for my childhood sweetheart to kind of fall into my lap and be my wife. Like I'm kind of navigating. I go out, I do a lot of things in the world and like meet a lot of people. And so my experience with do you like, aren't your chances increased by going on dating apps? Yeah, of course. No questions asked. But I'm also encouraged in my own life to like, not because I'm looking for a partner per se, but because that's also just a byproduct of going out and experiencing the world.
I'm not attempting to try to convince you.
No,
to
I know.
I think I'm just
giving a different perspective to it from like where I stand with it all, because dating apps, I've had multiple conversations.
Is there a little bit of it that's like
pride?
You're above it? Like I'm too
I don't know.
capable to be on a dating
maybe.
app. Yeah.
But like
I would feel that way.
I mean,
if I was single, I would be like,
I'm
just like, I'm better than this.
I'm not. It's just like if I want to go on a date with a girl, I can go on a date with a girl. Like if I
but if of course
if there's
it's
somebody
not about going on
somebody that I haven't met yet that's like maybe out there that I can.
It's not about like my point is it's not about going on a date. Like you could go on a date, of course. It's if you're going to go on a date with somebody with the intent of I'd like to have a partner and fall in love and like have a partner for life at some point. Does it not make sense theoretically is the question I'm posing to do so in a digital landscape where you're able to like, I don't know, part of it feels really like, not chauvinistic, but like, not conceited either. What's the word I'm looking for? Like face value, skin value. It feels wrong, right? To like break people down to these like digital profiles and just be like, oh, well, but we're doing that anyways when we're meeting new people that we don't know. If we're single, we're going into a bar and we're like, wow, that girl's really hot. I would like to meet her, right? Like that's less of a like, that's less information than you would get on these dating apps. You're like, oh, that's a pretty girl. I'm gonna swipe right and figure out what's going on with her. Oh, she's into horseback riding. I love horses. You know, so you're getting a more full-fledged like spectrum of who that person actually is. And I guess somebody who's not single, very happily married, when I'm thinking now back on like the dating app thing, and I guess to bring it all back is like, why don't we meet friends like that? Like if I can theoretically think about dating apps and go, oh, that makes kind of sense actually. Like, even though I still feel like if I was single, I would still feel like I'm too good for it. It makes theoretical sense that like you would have a higher chance of meeting a good partner that way, or a better partner for you, or a more compatible partner for you. Why don't we do that with friendships? Why don't? Because I don't know of any friend apps that are like, hey, dude, like, I don't know anybody in the local area. I don't have any of my friends that will watch The Bachelor with me. I can love The Bachelor and I want to watch it. My wife won't watch it with me. My buddies won't watch it with me. I'm trying to slam down some major episodes of The Bachelor and eat some cheap huff. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have that app.
Yeah. I think we do. You just don't know about it because guess
Let's
what?
find
Alan?
it, dude.
You have friends and you don't need to go and do it because even if it existed, you wouldn't use it. For the same reasons I'm not going on using the dating apps.
I'm speaking
Well, I know,
theoretics here.
So am I. But like we're just having different points of view about it. So that's
Steve, if you were single, would you ever go on a dating app? You were kind of out of the dating game by the time those things got popular.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I also have no idea because I have no
reference for that.
Yeah.
But are you opposed? Do you feel any which way about them?
I mean, I get the algorithm and like going through the on paper being like, oh, okay, this level of compatibility has been proven through this algorithm and rate of success through these apps. And obviously someone on the app is like-minded and this is how they feel comfortable meeting somebody where like a friend app like Julian's describing, Julian likes bowling and the movies. Julian's not going to swipe right on someone who has that. Julian's going to go to a bowling alley. Julian's going to go to a movie and maybe meet people that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Like, I don't think like if you're in the digital space, you can't go out and meet people at a movie.
No, but what you guys were just talking about, that was like the perspective on each side.
Right.
So Julian's like, I'm going to go out and do this thing.
Yeah.
Where someone on the app's going to be like, I'm going to do my research before I go out and do this thing.
Right.
I think also, man, like I'm 34 years old and I kind of get to be single at this point in my life, and that's like it feels right now like such a privilege for me, for no other reason besides like the attitude that I have towards my life right now, in that I kind of know. I don't necessarily know what I want per se, but I know a lot more about what I don't want, and I don't want that to be my approach towards doing anything, like being the digital. Like, I love experiences, and I love going out into the world and just like meeting people. Like, literally my favorite thing in the entire world is connecting with human beings. And so, like, if I can,
feel like you'd rob yourself of that. Yeah. Well, that's absolutely valid.
Yeah.
Absolutely valid. I guess speaking on my own perspective of that whole world and platform, I always look down my nose at it until like a little bit more recently, where I was like, it kind of actually does make sense, just on a binary, like, scientific notion that you're probably more, because I think about the way that I met my wife as I was introduced to her. I had nothing to do with it. Other than, like, I was randomly, if it wasn't for Laura Jower going, hey, I'm kind of burnt out, I don't want to go to Australia with you and be your tour manager for this specific little tour,
you wouldn't have that liaison.
I wouldn't have hired some random guy in Australia who randomly knew my wife, who I have a child with now. Like, the randomness of that is almost like it makes my palms sweat, because it literally was like this close to me never meeting the most important human in my life.
And that's part of.
But there's some charm in that too.
That's
for
part
sure.
of like the mystery of life.
Of course, which
exciting.
is cool. But if you think back on like how fragile it is that even you and I know each other and have like maintained a friendship, and how powerful our relationship has been for each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's all, I think back and I'm like, man, how many of those have I missed? How many of those, like, incredibly, and not that I am upset about the way my life turned out, but it definitely gets me it gets my gears spinning about like, oh, man, like maybe there was, that one time where, I don't know. It's life, and the fractal of where you go is so delicate.
Well, 10 years of my life with you guys has been on the notion that 4 dudes wanted to drive across the country to meet you.
Right.
Like, if that didn't happen, the last 10 years of my life living in Seattle and knowing all you guys working with you and traveling the world and all that stuff would not have happened if one person was like, I don't want to drive 36 hours in a van.
It's crazy.
And I think
that minimal of a thing.
And I think that understanding that our lives are an amalgamation of these like chance opportunities, like what ifs and how coulds. It just kind of like doing something that like enhances a possibility in a direction towards something that would otherwise be unknown seems kind of cheap to me. And I just like don't care to live my life that way.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so like maybe that's being above it, or maybe that's just being like, I don't know, and there's nothing I have against it. And I think like, I was talking to a friend who has two siblings who are married for like 10 plus years from dating apps.
Dating apps, yeah. I know a bunch of people who have met really, really great people on dating apps.
I feel like it leans into more like type B people too, like people that's what their comfort level is, opposed to Julian who'll go fucking talk to literally anybody. Literally anybody. It's your most charming attribute.
Yeah, so like
you really want,
it's your most charming attribute. It's also as your friend the most annoying attribute.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even when I'm sober.
No, when you're sober, you're pretty good at it. When you're drunk, it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
God.
Right.
You're like going into like the Chevron to just get rolling papers. And he's like, yeah, man.
If you want to,
what do you think about dating apps?
Yeah. No, I look, man. I didn't stop.
You want to cry? You can cry. You can cry.
I didn't stop drinking because I was just like, yeah, man, I should take a break. I was like, I recognized those faults of my own and was just.
It wasn't a fault. It comes from a very, very innocent place. I remember one of the first times we were ever hanging out. We tried to get into a concert at the Showbox in downtown Seattle. Who was it?
I think it was like
Blue Scholars, maybe, or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And it was sold out. Julian, like, and I would never think to do this. This is like as terrifying as it possibly could be. Julian just walked up to every single person in line. It was just like, hey, you guys got any extra tickets? Hey, what's going on? And it's like, he must have talked to 40 different people. And I'm like, that just never occurs to me. Like, I'll go. It makes me sound like a total cunt.
Well,
but like, I love talking and getting to meet people.
Yeah.
When I'm talking and getting to meet people, if that makes sense. Like, I have moments of my time where I'm like, yeah, I really want to meet somebody and dig into the time. But like, if I'm going to the store to like pick up some lettuce and a bag of Dodos, I don't want to talk to the grocery clerk. I want to just don't say anything to me. Just like, and it's not because I don't care about that human and their experience. It's just like, I don't have the time to really dive into like an epic conversation. If they say hi, I'm going to say, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Having a good day? All right. Like small talk. But small talk to me is like, can be so like, like soul sucking when I'm not like strapped up and ready for it.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you guys at all?
All the time.
Yeah, Steve.
I almost think that I don't possess the ability to engage in it, because if it's presented to me, I think most people that if anybody tries to connect with me, like I'm almost incapable of not trying to connect back with them. So like if you go to a restaurant with me and or to a bar or even to the grocery store or wherever, and like I have a point of contact, like there's plenty of times when there's this like no contact made whatsoever, right? It's just like, hey, your total's gonna be this much, great, fine, whatever, at a grocery store, something like that. But if it's like a, hey, how you doing, how's it going, especially like at a restaurant, like I'll make friends with my waiter, I'll make friends with the bartender, I'll make friends with like the clerk, the flight attendant, whoever it is that I have to make contact with. I genuinely don't think I possess the ability to small talk, because it makes me feel so like fake. I'd rather die.
Yeah, I mean, I think small talk's a really great tool, and I pull it out quite often. But small talk to me is like the appetizer for the entree, which is like a legit connection.
Yeah.
But small talk is the buffer to me that is really well utilized to know whether or not I'm going to get an entree. Mm-hmm. Meaning, like, I'll toss certain things out during small talk that are, I mean, they may be subconscious to me, but I know that I do them to see, like, oh yeah, I would love to spend like 2 hours talking with this person. And that might be the fractal of life, where I've missed a lot of really great relationships and missed learning a lot of things, but it's just how I've developed.
Yeah.
Those small talk moments are when I'm chucking out enough little breadcrumbs to be like, okay, well, this person can play ball, and we'll be buddies. We'll have a good conversation. We'll talk about things that are interesting. So I think it is a really good, useful tool, but there's just moments where I just like, I'm not trying to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm very much so like, connected to tasks. Like I noticed that about myself. Like last night, trying to fix the Wi-Fi in my house, I was just like so engaged. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I think I know what kind. Like I'm just a task-oriented human.
Yeah.
Like I need a task. I don't do well with just like, let's just go to the park.
Yeah.
And just like lay on a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Like, let's go to the park and throw a baseball. Let's try to throw the baseball harder than the other. Like, give me a task and I can dig into that for a while. But like the floaty, I can't do that. I don't do it well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't do any of that stuff very well. I think like there's maybe part of the annoying component of my approach towards people comes from this place of like, I know that other people feel like, yeah, like you don't want to have small talk. A lot of other people don't want to have small talk either. But I think maybe in the annoying part of my brain, I'm like, everybody wants to actually connect. And so like I'm going to connect with them. Therefore, they're like, they break down that wall and they're like, dude, thanks for being my friend. Like when I bartended for like 12, like, how old am I? 34? I bartended since I was 21 on and off. That's a long time. And I was never a good bartender at all. All I wanted to do was like break down the walls of these human beings that were coming in and hanging out at this place and like talking to them and connecting with them. And I know there's plenty of other bartenders that like to do that too, but like I genuinely don't know how to make a drink. Like, and I've done it for so long because all I wanted to do, and people would like come back all the time. And I'm not like stroking my own ego here. It's just like people genuinely like, I think they just are kind of, everybody, I don't know, in my mind, everybody wants to open up and everybody wants to connect, but because it's like so hard and they don't know what they're going to get, they kind of keep this wall up and they don't want to. And I think in my experience of life, as I've gotten older and learned people a little bit more, I'm like, it's my duty to like open people up, break them down, understand them, and like connect with them. And so there's almost like this responsibility, or like it feels like almost a task to me. I'm like, I don't actually like you or care about you. Like, I just want to connect, because like, what else are we doing otherwise? If we're talking, there's no, like, you might just, but that's the interesting thing, because it's like people can come in, and I use the bar because it was such a great environment for me to learn this about people. But people would come in and they'd be, you know, just shitty, kind of an asshole and bad attitude and like flirting with the girl in some like abusive way, whatever it was. And I would just like start talking to them and be like, you know, asking them questions of like, you know, like how often does that really work for you? Like, what are you doing here? Like, what's going on? Eventually that conversation turned into this like breaking down of this person, where they were like, man, I'm actually with a bad attitude right now, and I'm being a dick, because that's how I've presented myself all night and for the longest time because of this thing. I'm not just inherently that way. There's a reason why I'm that thing. And I think, defense mechanism. Yeah. And I'm like, what is that? What, like, I'm fascinated by like why you're acting that way. Not with like, oh, he's a dick, so I'm going to like walk away. I'm like, oh, he's a dick. I wonder what's going on. Like, that's so interesting to me. So like, and I shit you not, man, like multiple conversations with mostly men who would like break down. And of course, alcohol is involved in these stories, but like they'd break down. And by the end of the night, dude, they'd be coming across the bar and like giving me hugs goodbye. Thank you, dude. Like, thank you for like talking and like how, like allowing me to express that. And it's just like, yeah. No problem. And like, I'm not sitting here being like, I'm like so potent in my connection to people, because I'm not. It's all just an exploration. I'm always just like, and I've been punched in the face from people who have been like, dude, fuck your approach. Like, I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. So it goes the opposite way too. That's the annoying and the beauty. That's like the, you know, the burden and the curse. The burden and the curse? The blessing and the curse.
Yeah, if you're drinking, it's a burden and a curse.
Yeah, it's true. Not always. I mean, I've had some great experiences.
A bourbon and a curse.
being drunk and connecting with people, man. It's
yeah, no,
it's awesome. But I just probably hurt myself more than anything. But
no, I think the only time it's ever been, annoying is when you're. I think for many years, I felt like the mother or the father, and like,
I think a lot of people felt that way around me. So
many social situations with like specifically our clan of friends, and so it was always just super annoying. Just be like, dude, don't. Yeah. Also, too, like when you open up your circle to another personality, it just it changes the dynamic. It also changes the chance of like what's gonna happen that evening.
Yeah.
And I think for so long I was, and still am, like, I want to curate the thing that I want to enjoy, because maybe not in the last year. I've gotten softer over the last year because of the pandemic, but like when we're ripping and roaring, I don't get to dictate very much of my time. And so when I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm like, I want to do this, and I want to do it with these people, and I don't want anybody else there.
Yeah.
And it can come off like, I've definitely been in situations where it's come off mean, sort of, because I just only want to hang out with certain people.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't appreciate others. I just don't want to like roll the dice and hope that this other rando is going to be cool.
Yeah.
Like I'd prefer to just take what I know, which is like the people I want to be around.
Yeah.
Have a nice night with them, and then not have anybody else in that circle that could potentially ruin that time because the time is so precious. So that's the only time it's been annoying, is when like you're like, oh God, this is like the one night I have in New York City. You're gonna invite fucking Tobias over here to like have a drink with us. Like, don't talk to him.
Yeah.
Like we're right here. Let's go. It's there. That's the kind of the only been the time it's been annoying.
For sure, and that's totally valid. And I think, I I hope we've all gotten, as we've aged up, better and more conscious of that. Like, I mean, Steve could probably answer this the best because he came into our friend group and just saw the tornado of madness that we were as a unit of dudes. And what do you think, Steve? Like, do you think this, like, you're part of it as well at this point? And has there been like an arc to it? And are we like more, do you feel more comfortable around us now, I guess? Like, or do you just...
I came from a very similar friend group and dynamic and chaotic people and lived similar lives and backgrounds. And so when I first came into the group, it was kind of just like, oh my God, I landed in Neverland. What is this house? What are these people doing? And then I saw everyone grow with me and connect on, my level. Because I think you guys think a lot of the time people come into your friend group and they're trying to just like be in your friend group. I was like, they can be friends with me if they want to. So I didn't have that approach. It was like, I have nothing to prove to any of these people.
Yeah, that was probably why we kept you around. Because maybe we saw that and we're just like, man, Steve, we need Steve, not the other way around. Whereas other people are like, we thrive on, I say we, maybe just me.
Well, no, I mean,
thrive on like other people's
Yeah.
impressions of like, oh, you guys are so great. It's like, awesome, dude. You can hang out with us as long as you want because you can keep validating us. But
I mean, there were a lot of people that were around you guys at the time that were very obviously trying to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's just a major turnoff for me in general for people.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't approach something like that.
But have you seen an evolution of this group of friends get to a place where you feel like awesome, I can like now go out with those guys and not have to worry that
my point.
Kind of thing might happen?
I didn't really ever worry about it.
But that's nice.
I'll say in the evolution of our friendships growing, I think one of the most incredible things is how tight you guys have been for so long. That's something that's incredibly rare, which is why I think you guys think it's so precious, because it is in reality of like being close since youth, like young kids. Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible to stay so tight for the time. So that's an intriguing thing for me, which it was something that I was like, oh, it's cool to be a part of this, but I never needed to be a part of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to dinner and keep evolving this friendship, you freaks.
I don't need you guys. I got the friendship app.
Oh, sweet, dude. Will you tell us how it goes?
What's your login, dude? I'm trying to meet some hotties.
That's awesome.
Love all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. And stay well, stay blessed, and stay tuned.
Yippee skippy. How long can you hold it? Sauce me up and call me Susan Sarandon.
Wim Hof.
All right. Love you guys. Let's get out and go to dinner.
Oh, boo-boo, did you just make it to the end of the video? Yes, you did. Do you want to see more videos just like this one? Do you?
Well, then head over to patreon.com/live at the lodge, where you can support the How Good's This podcast, as well as the entire Live at the Lodge family.
Yep, yeah, you're going to get exclusive merch, personalized shout-out videos. Me and Jules, we're going to show up at your house and baptize your nephew, huh? Check it out, patreon.com/live at the lodge.